We're now going to talk about the meat alternates. So a meat alternate may be served in place of an entire grain at breakfast. You're allowed to do this up to 3 times per week. We do suggest, because we've kind of seen this a lot in school districts, but just you may want to do a variety of meat alternates. Sometimes people always do like chicken, or they always do beef, ground beef, but also think if there's other meat alternates, like there's beans, you can do cheese, nut butters, tofu, eggs, yogurt. So make sure you kind of switch things up just a little bit, because not everybody likes ground beef, not everybody likes chicken. So just kind of think about, you can always think outside the box, maybe ground turkey, just other meat alternates that might go well with your participants. Now, when we talk about the meat alternate for breakfast and replacing it with the grain, what you do is if say you're required to have 1 ounce equivalent of grain at breakfast, what you would do is you would replace that with 1 ounce of meat alternate instead. So whatever you're required to give them for the grain, that's how much that you'll give them in the meat alternate. Now, again, this is if you want to completely replace it. What I see a lot of times is people may add eggs in with their toast, but they don't always just completely replace the grain with the meat. But if you wanted to, a good example here is maybe eggs or a cheese omelet and fruit and milk. As it was mentioned earlier, here are some crediting information for the meat alternates. This is on your meal pattern sheet. So if you do take a look at your meal patterns, it does show on there if you want to serve like peanut butter, 2 tablespoons equal 1 ounce, 1 large egg equals 2 ounces of meat alternate, beans and peas, a half a cup is 2 ounces, yogurt, 4 ounces equal 1 ounce. And again, beans, are a meat alternate and a vegetable. But again, if you serve it, you have to decide if it's a meat alternate or if it is a vegetable in that meal. It cannot be both. And if you do cheese, which we call natural cheese, like cheddar, mozzarella, anything that's real processed cheese, it is ounce for ounce. Now, we got this label from a participant, and they asked us to talk about this. So this is real cheese. It is American processed cheese. So it is pasteurized and processed. It's just American cheese. You are allowed to serve this. The one thing that they wanted to make sure that people were aware of, what they saw issues with, is 1 slice is 19 grams. Well, a lot of times people are like, well, my 1 to 2-year-olds need 1 slice. My 3 to 5-year-olds, they need 2 slices. The 6 and older or adults, they probably need 3. And that is not the case. So a 1 ounce equivalent, which would be for a 1 to 2-year-old for lunch, they need 28 grams. So they do need about 2 slices. You could do probably 1.5. But they definitely need more than just 1 slice. So just make sure that you are looking at the serving sizes, and it says 1 slice is 19 grams. Make sure you go back to your meal patterns chart to make sure that you are serving the correct amount. Because again, if you're not serving the correct amount, we will take back that meal, because for that meal to be reimbursable, it has to be the correct item served in the correct amount. You can always serve more, you cannot serve less. If you do want to serve yogurt, yogurt is very popular. I'm glad to see people are serving yogurt. You have to use commercially prepared yogurt. You cannot make your own. Soy yogurt is a great dairy-free option. The only one that is not allowed to have soy yogurt is infants, and I'm not for sure why, but it is not allowable for infants to have soy yogurt. And then there are sugar requirements for yogurt. So you can have no more than 23 grams of total sugar per 6 ounces. And this goes for anybody on CACFP. Now, we showed you that WIC list, and on the same side as the cereal list, if you go to the bottom, there's yogurts down there. Do not go by the WIC yogurt list, because those yogurts do not meet requirements. So make sure if you are wanting to do a yogurt, you are having to do the math yourself, or again, reach out to your program specialist to make sure that it is one that you can serve. Now, what I've been hearing, and I've never heard otherwise, and even when I was in the field, it seems that I haven't heard of a Yoplait yogurt that did not meet requirements. So If Yoplait meats, they have a lot of variety. But you know that there's tons and tons and tons of different brands of yogurt out there. So I'm going to show you how to do the math. And this actually does apply for cereal as well. But in your manual, there is a sugar chart, one for yogurt and one for cereal. So what you do is you take your nutrition facts label, and right here, it's a 6-ounce serving size. And then we go down to sugar and it says 19 grams. So your yogurt might have just sugar on there or total sugars. So if it's total sugars, use total. If it's just regular, just says sugar, use the sugar. So our 6-ounce yogurt has 19 grams of sugar in it. So what you do is you go to your chart, which is in the manual. We also have handouts from USDA that you can also find in the resource library. You come down here to yogurt, go down to your 6 ounces and scroll over and it says 0 to 23. So the yogurt that we looked at had 19 grams of sugar in it. It is less than 23, so you can serve that yogurt. So again, just be cautious with yogurt. Make sure, and again, this is for all ages. It's anybody that's participating in CACFP. You have to watch sugar for yogurt and cereals. Now let's talk about the fruit and vegetable component. So fruits and vegetables, they are 2 separate components, except for at breakfast. You can mix and match them. A vegetable can be replaced for the entire fruit component at lunch or supper. So it must be 2 different vegetables. You cannot do like mashed potatoes and French fries. Again, they're both potatoes, but you can do like mashed potatoes and green beans. And again, this is just for CACFP. You are allowed to serve juice, but you can only serve juice 1 meal service per day. Juice is not allowed for infants. The only way you could serve it to an infant is if they have a doctor's note. Now, the same thing with the whole grain rich also applies to the juice. If you serve juice more than 1 time per day, then we will have to take back the meal with the lowest reimbursement. So again, you can only serve juice 1 time, and it does have to be 100% pasteurized and be 100% juice, which we're not seeing a lot of issues with this, but just be cautious. Juice 1 time per day. Do not exceed that. And then a vegetable, you can do 2 vegetables instead of doing a fruit and a vegetable. You cannot do 2 fruits. You can only do 2 vegetable or a fruit and a vegetable.